Hi all, Cullen here, and welcome to Law Live. My next guest will need no introduction. 25 years in the legal sphere, leading barrister at 8 Wentworth Chambers, and here to talk about the culture of no and being a barrister in the new digital landscape. Would you please make very welcome to our Law Live, Mr. Philippe Doyle Gray. How are you, Philippe? And thank you for joining.
I'm wonderful, Cullen, but I need to begin by telling you something, that when you do the impossible, try to remember it's best done on a Tuesday. Now, why am I saying that? Let me tell you why. Okay, here's the first tip. I hate social media where you tune in for some information and people waffle and podcasts go, how are you? How are you? I'm well. How are you? Did you see this? No, I didn't. How are you? I get straight to delivering value. First thing out of my mouth, you've got the value. You've got, when you do the impossible, try to remember it's best done on a Tuesday. That will stick with you. You've got to hang around to understand it all. But one thing that hasn't changed in this culture of no is that if you're a barrister, you have to begin by delivering value. First thing out of your mouth, even before you say hello.
Value first.
Value first. But in all seriousness, thank you for having me here on this live stream today.
No, it's an absolute honour. And your Chambers said it best, 8 Wentworth Chambers said, it's an experiment and I'm glad we're doing it together. The first at the bar. So this is fantastic. Now, it exudes off you, Philippe. You obviously enjoy what you do, but do you love what you do?
You will have heard of or seen Justitia, who's the statue of the blindfolded woman around courts. I love Justitia. We're in a loving relationship, but I have to say it's a little bit dysfunctional. Sometimes people, older people, and not necessarily just older people, some people don't like it. You know, the law is an art.
Really appreciate all your valuable insights there, Philippe. I think a lot of people tuning in can get a lot from what you're saying. And I think there's a lot to ruminate on. In terms of interacting on LinkedIn, I've seen some of your conversations. It's very thought-provoking, which I love. And one thing I saw recently, there was a discussion you were having with another lawyer, which normally would be, normally they walk away threatened or don't want to talk. You basically used the Socratic method and said, please don't throw your toys away. Come here and play, and maybe I can walk away illumined and, understanding the way you view the world. And I thought that was quite a great way to frame it, especially in a world where no one wants to be wrong, if that makes sense.
That's very kind of you to say. I'm the first person to admit that anyone can teach me something new, and I love learning new things.
Yes.
And I've come to appreciate the Socratic method of asking questions. Not everybody likes it, but what's important today is you've got to stand up, I think, for what you believe in. If you're going to be happy, you've got to believe in something and you've got to stand up for it and you've got to defend it. And the only way to defend it in a civil way is listen to what somebody else is saying, and if they ask you a question, answer it. You might think it's a rude question or a hard question or an irrelevant question, but that's your perception, which is not necessarily right. So I think it's always important to engage with people, and that's what I tried to do. But sadly, I didn't get any feedback.
Oh, do you think it's the way because the language in our heads are coming across in the written page? People inject their own insecurities and their own voice to it. Like you could have written that very well-meaning, and they're reading it with another set of lens, like goggles on almost.
Absolutely, I think, and I did write it in a specific way of not being mean or nasty, but actually wanting to engage in what I thought was a really, really interesting topic from someone who'd really thought about it. And I thought, here's a person who can teach me something. So They're a colleague. I respect them. I read their stuff before. They're obviously intelligent and articulate. So let's stop with the LinkedIn posts that all say things like, I'm deeply honoured / privileged / humbled to open brackets, quote whatever, something I want to boast about. Let's stop with that.
The humble brag in law.
A humble brag in law. I don't do that. If you look at my LinkedIn, I never do that, because that's not delivering value. That's another thing. You need to get something out of LinkedIn if you're going to read my post. If you're giving me your time, I've got to give you something for that. So absolutely, and you can. Some things are best discussed, and it's very easy to misinterpret anything that is written down. We all have a pathological critic in our minds, that's commenting on us. And that's very healthy if it makes us perform better. But it can sometimes, if you're feeling down, if you're tired, if you're not in the right mood, you can be, I hate using this word triggered, but you can interpret something. Your pathological critic can go, there you go.
Yes.
Another problem, another person who hates you. And you become defensive about that. So there's nothing you can do about that, I think, other than be explicitly kind and open and say, hey, I really would like to hear from you. And then shut up and listen, which is what I try to do. But I understand that not everybody deals with that.
So what would be, I guess, wrapping it all up, what would be your feedback to the PC community and those that get easily offended on LinkedIn because they're viewing it as trolling or someone being too acerbic for their liking? What would be your advice? Do people need to change their mindset when interacting and engaging, or do people need to be careful the way they frame things initially?
No one ever achieved anything by being offended. You've got to reconsider what you want to do in life, and that is, do you want to build something or do you want to tear something down? And if you want to build something, you've got to accept the fact that every construction project has its accidents. And no matter what you do, it's not going to run smoothly. But think to yourself, if you're listening to someone that otherwise you respect, why is this person speaking the way that they do? Let's put aside my feelings. Let's be curious and say, I thought this person was reasonable. Let's assume they're reasonable. Let's try and work out what they're saying. Let's ask some questions. I'm a great believer in the Greeks. They basically invented everything in ancient Greece. And let's use the Socratic dialogue. There's nothing stopping you from calmly asking a directed clinical question. And if at the end, in having this discussion, you've persuaded someone to change their mind just by asking questions, then not only are you on the path to building something, but you also should consider being a barrister.
Being an advocate and get well versed in the Socratic method.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. And any closing points that you'd like people to walk away with just before we leave there, Philippe, that we haven't touched on?
The last thing I'd like to say is every individual can make a difference. I think the greatest thing to see is young people who think that they don't have any power, who dislike what's happening, and there's quiet quitting. And it demonstrates that actually you do have power and you do make a difference. And it's find a way, don't hesitate, stand up for what you believe in. And even if you're quiet about it and you don't stand very tall, do something and you'll be happier. I will respect you for it, and more importantly, you'll respect yourself for it. No one should fear that. And if you're having a hard time, any of my colleagues, anybody else, I'm on the web. I publish my details. Contact me. I'm more than happy to talk to you, whether you're a student or a practitioner or you're not in the legal profession at all. If you think you're alone, give me a call. You're not alone. I'm more than happy to help you stand on your own 2 feet. Because I'm interested in building things.
You're a builder and a starter rather than tearing things down.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, there are two ways to have the tallest building. You can either focus on yours or tear others down. Unfortunately, the tall poppy syndrome focuses on that, but I'm glad you're one of the few that concentrates on building and helping others rise. And you certainly do that every day. Well done, Philippe. And thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been my absolute pleasure.
Where can people reach out to you easily that they could go to a coffee? Is it LinkedIn? Is that where you hang out? Where's the best place, Philippe?
You find me on LinkedIn or find me on my website. Just search for my name. It'll come up. There's only one of me. I'm unique. Just one Philippe Doyle Gray. Even if you misspell it, it'll be me. Google knows me. We're great buddies. And go to my website. Link. You can email me, or you'll go through to a link, and you can arrange to have a coffee with me. And
market leading, one of the best Calendlys in the market, I must say. I just want to shout. There you go. I copied mine off yours.
Thank you very much.
Imitation, the biggest form of flattery, as they say. But nonetheless, it's been a fantastic conversation, especially this last 15 minutes, uninterrupted technology-wise. So obviously the algorithm and StreamYard and LinkedIn Live wanted to hear what you had to say at this final 15 minutes. So thank you, Philippe.
And I'd like to, just on that 15 minutes of better interference, I'd like to thank all our uninvited guests who've worked on the technology symbol. And I'd like to say a big ni hao.
Ni hao ma. Great stuff there, Philippe. Thank you so much. And anyone who else wants to tune in, we come out every Wednesday, and we'll be uploading the most, I guess, listen to moments of Philippe's chat that you can hear onto the podcast later tonight. Bye for now, everyone. Take care.